tell us about what you remember about him.
He was a fairly quiet man compared with what I remember of some of the other uncles. But he was also a lot of fun.
Quite sense of humour.
Quite a yes, probably a retiring sort of person in a sense. But he did have a good sense of humour.
It's probably more like Uncle Biggs in a way, wasn't he?
Yes.
Because Uncle Biggs was, he was fun, but he quite liked the background, didn't he?
Yes.
He was very keen on his woodwork and engineering, that sort of thing, which I liked to get up there and bang nails into. I wasn't always popular for using the things that were actually quite precious, but I used to.
He didn't have a farm? He was one of the few who didn't?
No, he lived at Rosebank in the old home. That's where I grew up. And worked for Douglas McCard until I was about 17, and he moved us. We moved to town then. I'd gone to boarding school. I just left boarding school when we moved into town, and he worked at Donald's Presses, which was also building and engineering, which he enjoyed. And that was.
Did he go back to Rosebank when he was married or with?
Yes, he was living out there, batching out there, and they started their married life out there at Rosebank.
So he'd given up the work and...
He'd given up being a mechanic.
Before he was married?
Oh, yes.
Yes, quite a number of years before he was married. He was very sick apparently in the end of the First World War, wasn't it?
Yeah, about the early 1920s, I'd say.
Yeah, he was very sick, and he had a lot of pneumonia, from what I gather.
We left in 1925. He'd been with us for quite a few years then.
Yeah, and
Did
his
he
health
go away
didn't
to
allow.
war?
No.
No, he was in the territory. Was it mounted police or whatever they were in those days? Territorial.
Yes.
There's photographs of him.
Isn't it?
But
Yes,
he never went overseas.
We saw the stream.
And,
Where the old grandfather came.
I've got one brother that I don't really see very much of. He's about 5 years younger than I am.
Where was your brother?
Mangakino, I think,
Yes.
but I don't see much of him. That's, he used to enjoy tennis in his younger days. That's my father I'm talking about. And a big treat was always to go to the New Year's athletic sports meetings and the anniversary day sports meetings, which we used to go and watch Raw and Sarah and do their thing. And that was quite something he enjoyed doing. Other than that, I do like cars.
You like gardening too?
We do like his garden.
Yeah, we could, yeah.
He would have been about the only one. There weren't many that liked the garden.
No, none of them really. He'd be the vet.
Yeah,
Others had a bit of a go, but that didn't. You could do a boot about.
Yes, I suppose he did. And he did like his garden. Our gardening, veg gardens.
His grandfather had a lovely vegetable garden. Yes, he was.
Granddad
He
used
always
to
had some vegetables.
That's not a flex.
I remember Granddad showing me how you tied onions together, because he always had them hanging in the shed in his old
Yeah.
shed. And he always.
There's bundles of them.
But none of them had a market garden, did they? Charles, who went down to Woodlands, had a market garden for years.
I didn't mind to be taken but everything outside we gave always
Funny enough, many of the South Island family went farming, did they? Not a lot of the...
No, butchers and...
Yeah, that type, storemen and that,
yeah,
storekeeping, that type thing.
Yeah.
I've struck one quite a few times. I had up quite recently the butcher shop in Woodland. I struck him a few times.
Yeah. The next generation down, several farmers, but often in the first two generations.
Uncle Tom used to come, Noel's father used to come and spend evenings with Dad and Mum when they were living in town. And that used to be a lot of fun. I used to reminisce about the things they'd done us. I used to get a lot of pleasure out of that. I wish now I'd taken the notes of it. And Uncle Arch used to quite often come around on a Sunday morning. It used to be quite fun. But it's like all the other cousins. The aunts and uncles were very good, and lots of fun at holidays and Christmases at the training farm and at Hawkhurst. It was always a big thing, and it was good.
Okay. Jeffrey,
Yes.
we'll move on to Butte.
What did you say?
Move on to your mum.
Yeah, my mum. Well, my mum was a Wyeth, and she married my father, Norman Blatchford, and two of my father's sisters married Wyeths. They were got a very close connection. In the early days, I think the girls did most of the cooking for Grandma, from what I can gather. They had a separate sort of a cookhouse, didn't they?
Yeah.
And apparently, Mother's was taught to make bread by Auntie June until she left home, and then Auntie Al. And it was a big day, the bread making day, huge day. And they made all this bread, it had to last a week. And there was a certain loaf, that was the last one of the batch, had to be eaten before the new bread was made, and it was called the hoe-in loaf. Because everybody knew they had to eat it before they started the new bread. Occasionally things didn't work out right, and they'd eat the hoe-in one and still had to eat some more of the new bread. And it used to upset Auntie Al very much for these mean people to come along and to hoe into her new bread. I don't know much about the family. Mother married and left home, and she had a sister and I, and I think my father spent more time with the Wyeths than he did with the Blatchfords, actually. And I spent more time with my Wyeth grandparents than I did with the Blatchford grandparents. But the Blatchford parents were very nice, but I didn't seem to get on well. Well, Grandfather's a bit gruff, and I was frightened of him.
Yeah, that's all level.
And we used to, at his house he had a sofa and chairs
Well, he's, you know, giving him push.
stuffed with horsehair. And we as kids used to sit on it, the bloody pricks come through us to our legs all the time. We didn't like going to that house much. But no, Dad had more to do with the Wyeths than he did with his own family. Mother just sort of carried on. She was a farmer's wife, and I haven't got very much to say about that thing. She
Grandfather Blatchford, when the third by the Auntie Doris married Blanche, he said the Wyeth family must be a damn fascinating family there. Three Blatchfords.
No, I had a very happy time with the Wyeth grandparents. I used to go there as a child and have hot dinners on Wednesdays always. I didn't like parsley and boiled mutton very much. I had quite a bit of that.
What sort of farm did your folks have?
My father was a farmer, and he went to a job as a supervisor on another farm, manager of another farm for most of his life.
Mm-hmm.
But the family farm was at Rangatuma, and I was born there. I was third generation to be born here.
It was stud sheep, wasn't it?
Hmm?
Stud sheep we
Yeah. But no, we're farming people, like the Wyeths. Never did anything else, didn't know what to do other than that. I don't think I could say very much more than that.
I can only say that I think we were just really unique family as a family. The way he loved one another and wanted to be together. Jean was just saying how she felt when she was introduced into Jeff's family. Coming as an only child and not having any close young people. How she felt with this warmth of the Wyeth family, and I think we have been a very, very fortunate family to have had this lovely closeness. Just hope it continues.
I think it does. I think that does show very much, because at the last big reunion, our second boy came down, and he's always said to me, "You love these wife get-togethers, don't you?" And I said, "Yes." And he came down and went to it, and he said, "I can see why." He said, "Because," he said, "you see very little of your brother." And he said, "You know, they are just all like brothers and sisters." He said, "You all get on so well." So it shows.
We used to have, at Christmas, usually, nearly always at Hawkhurst, and then a few times we had the Brancatum on the riverbank there, and a few times we went to Auntie Al's at Rexford Street.
That was Boxing Day. That was Boxing Day.
Yeah, Boxing. Yeah, that was Boxing.
We had Christmas Day and
Yes.
Boxing Day, didn't we?
Yeah.
Christmas Day either at
Boxing Day was
Auntie
Dad's
Ivy's and
birthday,
Uncle
so
John's,
yes.
or
It was always a
his.
picnic day, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Boxing Day was Dad's birthday.
Yes.
We always had a lovely
It was picnics.
birthday.
We used to go down to the river, and Uncle Arch used to come out with a coat thing on, with bags of lollies tied all over
Oh,
and around the
yes,
house.
I remember that.
We used to try and scrounge them. It was an age when you had to make your own fun, and the Wyeth family did it very
That's
well.
right.
Remember that?
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
My dad took over the Rosebank property on lease after Thomas Wyeth retired to Marston, and found that and plus some other land at the top of Mount Bruce, opposite where Noel's sons are now. And we shifted to Gladstone in 1925. The lease ran out, and McLeod took the land back from farming. And the place we took over at Gladstone was a very neglected property. It had gone back very, very badly. Scrub kitchens, a lot of places had been broken in, and all black wire fencing and that sort of thing. And it was a big job in a way for a long time, but we overcome it and that sort of thing. And we went to. He was a bit like Uncle Charlie. He was a very quiet, retiring chap, very small little man. The dad was, but just like the old like Thomas Wyeth, just like Thomas Wyeth. That same height and everything, tough as anything. But he wasn't a runner by any means. But on the other hand, he was actually saving bills and that sort of thing. But over the years, we gradually got the place together and formed a Romney flock out there. And the old ones, that's what families sent to use down in one part of it, and then they divided them up later on. And Jeff got some of them, and we got some of them, and that's where those Green Corner flock started from. That was in 1937 we went to Jeff. But he was the old black wire fence. We got a team of draft horses together, and that's what I was brought up on. Following the horses around the hills, pulling up Manuka stumps, and finished up about 12 or 14 Clydesdales on the place. And an old Scots teamster myself.
Did you just use it on your own farm, or
That's
did you?
right, yes. We might have done hay jobs or something with Mackay's. That's next door. Probably had some of the haymaking machinery between the two places. But over the years, that he was tall able to be broken in. We broke in up to the war with the horses. After the war, what's came into a quarter tractor and sort of carried on. But, we formed our own lime pit on the place, and cut away 100 how many thousand tons of lime was cut out by truck and turned over all the paddocks that wanted it. And you can still see the effect of some of the paddocks now. That's over about 40, 50 years ago. In one paddock we did very, very heavily. Dad was too poor to grow anything. We did, probably got 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 tons to the acre on it. You can still see it in that paddock today. Still one of the best paddocks we've had on that type of country out there.
Did you just use it on your own property,
Yeah,
or?
that's right. Yes, on our own property. Yes. We dug out the bank of the creek. There's a line so they washed down from off the Mungarakis and settled on the flat bed, the flat ground at the bottom. And it was all you could just dig it in and knock it out and pick it out and hit it with a shovel and just come to pieces. I don't know how many thousands of tons of cabbage were out there. It was all done by hand, and we had an old top dresser afterwards. And we put it through that. And, it's done that until the war. After the war, we I bought a small place near Marston then. We used to go back and forth to get to Green Corner every day, and we sort of broke up up north of the country with a tractor then. It's a fairly good place today.
Why was it called Green Corner?
But only one thing I can think of it is the fact that you've got 12 lot of willow trees and poplar trees right there. There's a big limestone stream goes right down through the middle of it, and it's lined with willow trees and poplar trees right there. That's the only reason I can see for it. When we went there in 1925, July the 20th, 1925, my sister and I hadn't seen the place until we drove up the Sunday afternoon. And the stud firm manager that sold the place to Dad, he was waiting there for us Sunday afternoon. Drove up past the drive, the same drive now, get up past the house. And looked at all these big, tall poplar trees. Although we'd seen the bush at Mount Bruce, we hadn't seen poplar trees and willow trees like that. And we couldn't believe our eyes. They're still there to this day, anyhow. Still the same. But they don't seem to go any, they looked enormous trees then to us, but they're still there. And anything else I can tell you about it? But, I remember all the old black wire fences, you know what I mean, the black wire fences, don't you? It's not galvanised, something like that. And all these horses, glass horses there, you wake up in the night, because those days they see a greasy heel. Hear them in the old wire fences. Shriek, 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 shriek. So all the old horses scrubbing their heels on the old wire fences. But it was after the war, the horses were out anyhow. I don't know much that I can tell you about it.
That cake she made, she always made the same recipe.
Madeira cake.
Madeira
cake.
She always had it.
Yes.
Yeah, we did day in, day out.
Uncle
It was
Diggs-
always there.
Uncle Diggs never changed. He was always the same, wasn't he? He never raised his voice or hello, or you know, he sort of never was angry with anyone else.
No,
That's
that's
great.
When they left the farm, they bought a little farm along here in Chamberlain Road, off of Upper Plain Road. 40 acres. Yeah, 40 acres blocks, and we retired there. And right to